Okay, let's kick it off. First of all, for me, it's midnight over here in London. So, good evening from London. What was a very hot and baking day. Still got my tea with me for the final session of this evening. It is our final sponsored session, and we are all very excited because this will be a very different session to what you've seen before. Um, I'm welcoming you to Bringing Humor to Management Education. We are all very excited, and I like to add that this is the session that has been voted by the reviewers as the best session that has been submitted. So congratulations again, David Stolen, who is leading on that session, but it's not only David, and maybe just a few words for David. David is a professor at Toulouse Business School and a professor of finance, and he's brought a special guest tonight, Sami Obeid. Sami is a writer, stand-up comedian, and is recognized in the Guinness Book for 1001 comedy nights in a row. And he's also a graduate from Toulouse Business School. And I'm proud to say, coming to us from the studio in Southern California, Irvine tonight, bringing humor to management education. And David, the stage is all yours. I will put myself on mute. But please, before we do that, mic's on mute for all the participants. And please use the chat for any comments and questions. And please don't forget to join us for the final session in about 30 minutes for some feedback for the TLC day. So it's all yours now.
Thank you so much, Stefan. Thank you for this wonderful introduction. And thank you for tuning in into this session about using humor in management education. And if you want to see what this is all about, we've been collaborating with Sami Obeid, an incredible comedian who also, importantly for this session, is a graduate of Haas School of Business at UC Berkeley. And he has also spent several years as a teacher, as an educator. So couldn't think of a better person to be doing this with. If you want to see our output, what we actually have done, I invite you to see if the clicker is working. I invite you to see our work, which is all on this site. We have about a dozen videos that we've recorded together, humorous, educational videos, and we're recording one more today, and we will be recording more. This session is about why and how you might want to collaborate with a stand-up comedian if you're an educator. Now, let me give you the why, and we'll answer the how interactively in the form of actually collaborating on a video that we'll crowdsource ideas for, and then we will actually make. So just quickly, why might you want to do this? It's been 2 years that we've been working on this, and some ideas for why you might want to use humor in your teaching are obvious. Maybe were obvious to me, for example, even before we started collaborating, but other ideas maybe a little bit less so. And I sort of coded them in just one-word codes, but just quickly to go through this. Mood puts learners into a positive mood if there's humor. That's helpful, right? Memory, jokes necessarily, they stand out, they work as an organic mnemonic device. Test, they can help the learner test themselves. They can see there's a joke. Am I getting it? Am I not getting it? If the joke is embedded into the material, then they're kind of testing themselves, they're getting feedback. Reward, we know that the mind releases these positive neurotransmitters, dopamine and serotonin, and it actually works as a physical reward for learning, again, if the joke is connected to the material that you're teaching. Focus, you're watching a lecture using humor or a video, you don't know when a joke is going to come, so you're more focused because at any moment this joke can appear. Trust. To teach with humor requires an investment. You have to think through things, and because of this, you're kind of looking at someone. You're saying they obviously prepared. So in terms of the implicit contract between the learner and the teacher, it's enhanced through this trust. Now, leeway, it just means that when you're using humor, you have a little bit more leeway to do some things. You can gently shame, for example, the student for not investing enough into learning the material, for their ignorance. You can get away with a little bit more if they can see that it's done in the spirit of humor. Discipline, I'm talking here about discipline not from the students, although that's an important issue, but discipline from the perspective of the educator. It disciplines you to think like a comedian, and comedians are amazing people who will always try to kind of optimize their joke. Can they cut some quote unquote fat? Can they cut some unnecessary air? Can they focus on just what's essential? And also, they're constantly looking at things from the audience's perspective, and that's invaluable for an educator. Now, number 9, there's the social aspect. Everyone has seen a video, everyone has got a joke, and it gives you a common experience that you can talk about, and that's very valuable. So that's the social aspect of learning, and the 10th, which I call jackpot, is if your humor is really embedded into the material, and then your students love this, and then they actually want to share it with others, maybe who are not taking this class, who have nothing to do with this material, and in order to explain the joke, they have to explain the material. Well, then it's jackpot. Then that's the perfect thing. They really have learned it. They want to share it with others. And so there are more reasons, but these are 10 reasons they wanted to share with you. And I don't want to take too much time, because the key point of today is to see this process in action, to see how we're going to actually develop a video that embeds humor into the educational process. And for that, we have with us a fantastic comedian, and his name is Sami Obaid, and I'll let him present himself, and then we'll take it from there. Sami, welcome.
Thank you. Thank you so much. Thank you. All right. That was the educational portion. It's now over. So yes, I am a stand-up comedian. I graduated from the Haas School of Business, and I was also a double major in mathematics, applied mathematics concentration and probability theory, which is why I'm primed for a stand-up comedian. Looking for ways to apply my mathematics. Actually, I'm not only just a comedian, I'm one of the best comedians in the world. Not to brag, just I can prove it to you mathematically. There's about 1 million comedians in this world, at least. Did you know that?
No.
Starting and professional, about 1 million comedians in the world. So clearly I must be in the top 1%. And if I'm not in the top 1% of comedians, you can name 9,999 better comedians. I'll wait. Proof by contradiction. That's what we call it, proof by contradiction. I am now one of the best comedians of the world by mathematical logic. Thank you so much. This is humor, by the way. This is, they don't take everything I say completely literally, then it's just sociopathic. So about myself, I'm a mix. I'm mixed. My dad is a man, my mom is a woman. Again, that's also a joke. There's some sarcasm implied. We're just warming you up right now. That's all we're doing. So yes, I was a math teacher for many, many years. And math is one of the most hated subjects in America specifically, but also in the world. But I tell people that you can't get rid of math. You just can't. It's everywhere. I mean, even if we got rid of math, the world would just fall apart and there would be aftermath. So you're doing math either way. And of course, a lot of people are good at math. Half of the world is good at math. Technically, half of the world is technically above the 50th percentile. And if you don't know what that means, you're below it. So there, again, that's just another test. So America specifically is ranked 33rd in math. That's really bad. Japan had to count that for us. That's how bad it is. America we are above the mean in the world, but we're below the median, which means that half of Americans won't understand what I just said, but neither will half the world. So it's not that bad. So lack of understanding math is a big problem. And that's another problem, is that we call math doing problems. That's just a poor name choice that we tell children when they come back from playing at recess. Hey kids, that was fun. Who's ready for problems? Like, no, problems, that's what my parents have. I don't want problems. That's confusing even to an adult. If I'm at a bar and some guy's like staring at me like, what's your problem? 2 trains are going at the same speed at the same time. I don't know. That's my problem. What's yours? So the language we use in mathematics is problematic, if you will. So that's why things can be relieved with some comedic tension. I'm now a comedian. I do this professionally. And of course, during the pandemic, I do it on Zoom. You can check out my shows. They happen Friday through Sunday if you don't believe me. And we actually unmute the people so you can hear the validation in real time. When you see a comedian doing jokes but you don't hear laughter, you're not really sure if it's just poetry. All right, there we go. See, there we go. See,
It's the same here. We can go all
Good.
unmute if you want.
Oh,
Yeah?
oh, thank you. That's really nice. Yeah, I actually didn't know that. I thought we were going to be unmuted, but when you said at the beginning, I was like, all right, we're just going to.
Okay, sorry about that. Okay, here we
Okay,
go.
fantastic.
Please unmute everyone.
Oh, thank you. The validation is on its way. I really appreciate that. And just to reintroduce myself, my name is Sami Obaid. It's a very easy name to remember. My last name is Obaid, like the past tense of obey. So my name is a complete sentence, Sami Obaid. A very subservient name, but it's good husband material, right? What did Sami do? Obey. So I grew up in California. My dad grew up in the Middle East. My mom grew up in the Middle East of Texas. So I'm Arab and Texan. My blood is pure oil. Okay. Arab and Texan. I put the y'all and yalla. All right. Okay. Just throwing out some references. Hopefully you get them. All right. So, anyways, I do stand-up comedian. I do stand-up comedy, coming from a math background. But I will assure you, this is not my choice career. If I had to choose a career in the world based on my background, I would be a musical conductor. I love music. So, but it's a lot of arm waving. So I would only do it part-time. I would be part-time musical conductor, part-time engineer, semiconductor. Okay, so all right, come on. Some of these are groaners, but that's what you get. You have to take risks in comedy. That's part of my whole thesis here. But I won't do much comedy for much more longer. I'll go into my bit more. But just so you know, so I keep going. I am a very logical comedian, and that makes doing comedy in America very hard. People don't like logic; they like non sequitur. But I'm a logical. But for you understand logic. So if you like logic, then you'll like my comedy. If you don't like logic, then meow. So different kinds of comedy for different kinds of people. But last thing I will say in my comedy set, I've been feeling very good lately. I've been eating plant-based. For those of you who don't know what that means, it means I eat only plants or animals that eat plants. Or big animals that eat small animals that eat plants. There has to be a plant in the food chain for it to be plant-based. All right. Logic, more logic. I'm just saying I could eat a vegan and still be plant-based. All right. Did I reach 5 minutes? Is that what that was? Okay, no. Anyways, all right. So let's go on to comedy. That was my comedy set. I hope you enjoyed it.
Yeah, but if I can press
yeah,
the
by
same
the way,
button.
you can find me on Netflix, 100 Humans, and I did do comedy 1,000 days in a row. So anything involving powers of 10. I am in the top 1% of comedians. That's 10 to the 0. Okay. So let's talk about my history in education. I was a teacher for 7 years, and now I'm a stand-up. So I'm used to not making a lot of money. I understand how hard it is to be a teacher, and I think there's a lot of relations between being a teacher and a stand-up. Like when a comedian's on stage and nothing is getting a laugh, they're essentially teaching us something, right? And when a teacher is talking and people are laughing at them, they become a comedian. We're both standing up in front of a room, in front of a crowd, and we're delivering information. And of course, in teaching, there's different goals. The goal is to have some form of reception, some form of retainment. But when you're a comedian, the form is entertainment, right? But those two things can merge, and when they merge, there's this beautiful symbiosis that we're starting to see in the world right now. And I'll go into it a little bit more. But first, I just want to say that laughter in itself is a form of attention. Teachers always struggle with getting the students' attention. That's the first thing most teachers are concerned with. They want to get the students' attention and keep their attention so they can deliver the information. But laughter in itself is a form of attention because when you laugh, you're in the present moment and you are linked inherently to what's going on. So that's just something to keep in mind. If you're looking for an attention grabber, laughter is one of the best ways to do that. So moving into education and videos, comedy videos, and why this is important. There's two series that I would like you to look up if you haven't already heard of them on YouTube. The first one is called Epic Rap Battles of History. Now, if you have heard of this, great. If you haven't heard of it, look it up. It's a tremendous idea where these two individuals, they took historical lessons and put them into rap battles and made them comedically entertaining. And it's one of the most sought out channels on YouTube, and it makes information palatable and liked by the masses. Another one I want you to look up is a little more highbrow. It's called Numberphile. Big in the UK, I know, especially big globally, even in America too. Again, it's a little more highbrow, but it's where comedians present high-level concept mathematics, and they have, you know, cumulative billions of views. So I think it's a very interesting thing to check out. Furthermore, if you look at by view count, the most watched news programs in the world, you know what it is? It's The Daily Show and John Oliver's Last Week Tonight. And that's the joke, because those are not news programs. Those are comedy programs. It just goes to show that people prefer their news in the form of comedy now. Something very important to take away. Last thing I want to say, just some more numbers for you. If you look up the most searched genre and the most watched genre on YouTube, it is #1, comedy. Education is a close 13th. I'm so sorry, it's 13th. But that's just proof why we should work together, comedy and education, because law of averages, we can get to 6.5 at least. Okay. And then just generally, I you know, as someone who's been working in the merging of education and comedy for the last 10 years, I just want to say that it is the future. So it's not a matter of if, but when, and it's not a question of whether you're going to take a risk to get on board with something that's new and edgy. It's more of, are you going to be an early adopter, or are you going to get on the bandwagon later? That's all. All right.
Thanks so much, Sammy.
Yeah.
So,
Thank you.
so we talked about why you might want to do this, collaborate with a comedian, inject humor into your educational process. And now the question is how. And how, the best thing we can do is do it together. So what we're going to do now is we're going to brainstorm about an educational video that you think we should make, and we will record it here in California over the course of next week. And we're looking for material, not the material that you think is already inherently funny. No, give us material that you think is important, but also difficult for students to understand or difficult for them to remember. Do your worst. Throw the worst challenge at us. Give us suggestions for something that really would be useful. If we make a engaging, funny, educational video on this material, it would be useful to you. So give us those ideas. You can give them to us. You can raise your hand and we'll let you speak. I think maybe that's the best way to do it. But if you want to type in comments, we have a colleague here who will be looking at those comments and see and pass them on to us. So please, please think about this. Give us ideas. Raise your hand. Remember that comedians are people who make a trip to the grocery store sound hysterically funny and fascinating. So imagine what they can do with Porter's 5 forces. So we're looking for contributions. Someone is raising a hand. So we're looking for a topic. We're talking about making a video of up to 5 minutes, long. And so please give us suggested topics.
Yes, and just to clarify, this can be a general topic in education. It can also be a current event that relates to an educational topic. In fact, that might even be the best since we've done one before. But again, it can also just be a broad educational topic.
We got 2 raised hands here.
Great. Please go ahead.
Melissa and Jacqueline, who would like to start? Melissa, you want to
I'll jump in first.
go ahead?
I teach organizational behavior, and one of the things my students often have difficulty understanding is the difference between all the theories of motivation.
You might have better handwriting, actually.
Yeah.
That's just an idea for you.
Great. Different theories of motivation.
Okay. Jacqueline, you want to follow up?
Sure, this is quite a bit different. This is, I work in the area of rational judgment. And one of the concepts is additive probability distributions.
Lovely. Do you want to get that additive probability distributions?
Anything else? Any other suggestions?
additive probability distributions. We'll get it.
This is James, if I may jump in.
Sure,
probably-
go ahead, James.
Probably the funniest and most stress-free period of my life was writing and defending my dissertation. So I think that would be a humorous subject.
Defending your dissertation?
Well, writing it and or defending it.
Okay.
Thank you. Jody, you're next.
The competing values framework would be an interesting one to talk about. I will leave it up to you to choose what perspective you want to choose as far as organizational effectiveness, values, behavior.
Competing values framework, correct?
Competing values framework, yes.
So
I put one in. Sorry, go ahead.
May I
So-
jump in, please?
yeah, please.
My name is Mahesh Joshi. I teach strategy, and I want to make it one of the challenges students have is when two firms declare merger or acquisition, why their stock value goes down.
Here we have another one. There's one in the chat, and that's actually for me. Introduction to accounting.
And which particular topic in Introduction to Accounting?
T accounts.
T accounts?
Yep.
Sorry, T account? What?
hmm
Okay.
It's super funny.
So-
Okay.
Anything else?
Interpreting research results from an empirical paper.
Ooh, whoa. That I'd love to have a video that compresses all that knowledge into 5 minutes.
Interpreting, so could you repeat that?
Interpreting research results from an empirical paper.
Now, interpreting research results. Stefan, I just want to say you can be our timekeeper. We'll just need 3-4 minutes to wrap up. So 3-4 minutes before we absolutely have to go, please speak up and tell us to stop.
Officially, we have 8 minutes, but we
Oh.
can add another 4,
Great.
5, 6, 7.
Well, look at that. We got added time. Okay. Great. Anything else? There's no
There's
wrong
Bruce.
answers, and also a current event is welcome. If there's for instance, when I was in France last year at the business school, we did a brainstorming session like this, and we took a lot of current events, and one of them was the release of the iPhone 11 and the different psychological pricing tactics that they used. And we ended up making a video on all the different psychological pricing tactics used in Apple's release of the iPhone 11.
Okay.
And you can see that video on the link that I showed you.
Yes.
Okay.
So
So if there's any current events, please let us know. Otherwise, we can note
Can
down
I-
one of these. Yeah.
Can I add one more, please? I teach a concept, I teach management science, and it's so difficult for my students to understand. Taguchi loss function. I don't know if it's really very narrow topic.
I didn't catch that. Sorry. What function?
So it's Taguchi, which is like a tag, TAGUCHI, and loss is LOSS function.
Can you get rid of that?
Oops.
Oh no.
Sorry.
I'll repeat that.
I think the Taguchi function shut our system down.
I'm sorry, but
Okay, so sorry. So it's TAG, and then I know it's UCHI. Am I missing a letter here?
yeah, TAGU.
Look it up. Okay. Okay. So I think we can start narrowing things down.
Okay.
There's
Well-
always Black Lives Matter and dealing with implicit or unconscious bias.
Yes, definitely love that one. And I actually made a video recently on that regarding fake talking point stats that are often used by people to justify police brutality. You can look that up on my channel. So, okay, these are great. Any last contributions?
Can I add one more?
Yeah, please.
Leadership.
Anything specific?
No, just general.
Okay.
Thanks.
So I have a current issue.
Yeah, let's hear it.
So why tuition rates don't go down when we're teaching online?
Ooh, that's a good one.
So while Sammy is writing things down and thinking through these things, I would just say that we're hoping to create a video that would have kind of lasting power. So if it's rooted in something that's happening now, that's relevant now, that's great. But it also would be nice if it sort of has a longer lasting lesson behind it. Another thing is that if you take a look at what we've done on the link I showed you before, these were to a large extent were oriented towards technical subjects, towards finance. We did some videos on marketing and international business, but it would be nice to move away from the technical subject. So given that we have so many ideas, it would be good to go for something more, less technical, maybe more behavioral. But I'll let you.
Well, I'll first just start by identifying the ones that I think are the most specific, which I think will help us in this case. There's nothing wrong with a general idea, it's definitely possible to do to make a video on something general like leadership or interpreting research results, because I know there's probably a lot of ideas for methodologies for that out there. However, I don't think there's one kind of organized framework in any particular curriculum. So for that reason, I would probably also, we're going to be recording this in the next few days, so we want to make it a little bit not too hard on ourselves. So I think something that's a little bit more specific. So here's the ones that I would think are specific. We have, I'm going to put a dot by them. The T accounts, the theories of motivation. Oh, do we have different colors?
Yeah.
There we go. Okay. T accounts, theories of motivation, competing values framework, specific, mergers and acquisitions. Why does the stock value go down? The tuition rate, that's specific, and it's a current event. And additive probability distributions. And then again, I probably spelled this one wrong, but I would include that as well because it's specific. Okay, so now we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 ideas. And yes.
I just speaking for myself, we've done so many finance ones that I would prefer not to do the M&A.
Okay, so then we'll do green for the narrowing down even more. So T accounts would be a no as well.
Yes.
Additive probability distributions, too technical for
technical.
You. Tuition rates going down, current event, kind of behavioral, a mix of math. This is that's on the
Can I defend additive probability distributions? Can I try? And just say that the probability of all outcomes should come out to 1, and imagine if it doesn't. Mm-hmm. There might be some humor in there. Anyway.
Absolutely. That's a great observation. Competing values framework, right?
Excuse me. I was just thinking that the mergers and acquisition I suggested not from finance side, but from strategy side.
From strategy.
Okay.
So
noted. Okay. So now we're down to 4. We're going to choose one of these 4.
I would say that since we're making a video, we might as well go for the one that's going to have the most the widest audience.
Widest
right?
audience,
If we think about members of the Academy of Management, and I would So I am personally inclined towards different theories of motivation. Sounds great. Competing values framework. I'm not knowledgeable about it, but sounds.
I think these are. Oh, not touching the screen anymore. Okay. So I would argue that these have a wide reach because of topicality. So there's just kind of a rule. This isn't even a comedic rule, but it definitely applies to comedy. When you have something that's topical, the ability for it to be shared on the internet, the ability for it to go viral is exponential because people are interested in what's going on now. So we could put out a video on the different theories of motivation, which I'm happy to do that one. But something like this is more pertinent to now, and that is a selling point for this one. So if you're looking at topicality, I'm saying that one. This is a very interesting question that is kind of, I would say, these 3 are definitely evergreen. This is kind of a specific thing that a lot of people probably wonder. And then these two things are very textbook. They're like, all right, here's from organizational behavior, this is how we organize things in our curriculum. And here is another form of organization that we have in our curriculum. But this is more of a broader social question, and this is a broader relevant social question.
Do we know, the teaching takeaway, the learning objective from tuition rates going down, why? Is this something that we have to do research and have to figure it out? Or is there some theory that explains it and we want to communicate this theory? The person who suggested it, please tell us.
And while the person is unmuting, I have to give you a 5-minute warning.
Okay, 5-minute warning. Okay.
Yeah.
That's good. That's fine.
So
One
I
thing we don't have to
suggested it
worry about.
because
So I just want to say two things. One thing we don't have to worry about is whether you think it's funny. It will be funny. Any one of these can be funny.
Yeah.
So please, someone was saying tuition rates
So I
going down.
suggested it because it's a conversation that I've been having in my Zoom chats with my students. When we have, when I talk to them or my advisees will ask me like, well, we think tuition should go down since we're not teaching face-to-face. So it's a current issue. It's in terms of theory, I guess, perspective taking. There's lots of different tie-ins that you could have with that. There's accounting theory, the fixed cost of the university,
right.
revenue.
So yeah, I think that's great. So here's the thing. To me, I'm just going to say right off the bat, that one's the most interesting to me right now because it's topical. However, because we do have to make this in the next few days, it's a lot of research that I don't want to get wrong.
Yeah.
So I am happy to do it if somebody is willing to help contribute some of that important research and help us dig up some of the most important stuff that we can find. Obviously, a lot of it's going to be kind of theoretical speculation and probably analyzing on a behavioral level or market level why we think those prices are the same. But if anybody wants to contribute to the research, then I'm happy to do it.
As a researcher,
If I chime in,
neck out on something. Sorry.
If I chime in, even though I'm not an OB person,
Yeah.
I would suggest it's the lack of richness of communication. So compared to face-to-face teaching, what online teaching loses out is depth of richness in communication. And maybe that's the theory you want to use.
So I'm sorry, time is going by very fast. We have several minutes to wrap up. What's going to really help us to do this is if we can refer to an existing textbook and we can sort of compress things. That's gonna make it much easier for us. And I would say OB, different theories of motivation or competing values framework. Can we have a vote? Can you please raise your hand if you're voting for different theories of motivation?
Somebody counting the hands for us? Okay.
One hand, Stefan.
That's it, sorry.
How many hands?
Okay, we got 7 hands. Now, hands for competing values framework. Okay, do we get that? 2. Hands for tuition rates. Not going down. Why?
You have 2 votes.
2 votes?
Just 2.
No, it's more. 7. Okay, and then hands for mergers, acquisitions. I didn't even touch it. Hands for M&A, stock value going down. Why? Two. Okay, so right off the bat, we have these 2 options. Okay, I know, David, you really don't want to do this, but it's 7-7. Okay, we got 7-7.
We're gonna go. Sorry, we're gonna have to go with OB because it's. As a researcher, I'd rather not have people saying, "Oh, your research is undercooked on this stuff." So can we go with OB?
All right. So just
I'm the OB person.
Right.
The one that they have the most trouble with is called expectancy theory. And I think
expectancy theory. Great.
Mhm.
And we can look it up. We'll find a textbook where expectancy theory.
Easy. Thank you.
Okay.
And maybe you can
fantastic.
share
you
some
please send us
textbook
your
suggestions
can you
in
please
the
send me your
chat.
email?
I can do that. Yeah.
Great. So that's what we're
Any
gonna be doing.
OB textbook.
Expectancy theory from OB. Great.
But if somebody sends me 20 really good pages on the tuition problem, by 8 a.m. Pacific time tomorrow, we'll consider it.
Great. Okay, so just to wrap up. Okay, first of all, we're going to do this. We're going to do this next week. Post-production can take a while, but within 4 weeks, you will have this video. What next? Now, we're preparing for a 90-minute session in person in Vancouver. It would have been great. COVID happened, but there's still some things that I want to tell you. So please fill out our survey. You can find it right here about using humor in education. As a thank you, we'll send you a recording of the session, a transcript of the session, a report about our collaboration with Sami. We'll send you the video that we will make about expectancy theory, unless we get this extra information about tuition rates going down. And we'll send you a video about how we made this video. So there's going to be the follow-up, the decisions we made. So that's going to be the follow-up. And then please email me if you have ideas for this specific video. Expectancy theory from OB. If you have suggestions for other videos you want us to make, we will be making more. We'll be collaborating. So please, and if you would like to collaborate on research about humor, please email me as well. And I just want to thank Sami for his collaboration over the last 2 years now, and for kindly agreeing to participate in this session.
And if you want to learn how to be funny, even during a pandemic, you can do my virtual open mic Mondays and Thursdays, 7 p.m. Pacific. So for any of you in Europe, that's going to be in the middle of the night, but it's definitely worth it.
Thank you, David. Thank you, Sami. Thank you on behalf of all of TLC here. We give your mics up. Round of applause. That was really inspirational. Thank you very much for closing down the presentation sessions of today. We're very much looking forward to what's come up now from the video production. So if you do the tuition fee, you could do it very easily start with the why, Simon Sinek. So it's just you need to have a good kind of storyline for that. I think and that's the easiest way to do it. Thank you very much. All of you guys who are still on that session, please come to the feedback session now, where we're going to wrap up the day. And of course, David, Sami, you're also invited. Thank you very much for this session. Remember, session is recorded, chat's open. If you want to leave any comments, you can still do so. Okay? And there's the tiny URL. Click on it.
The survey would be very helpful to us if you fill out the survey.
Please fill out the survey. Okay.
Put that in the
So it's a
chat.
good night from
Put the link in
London.
the chat.
Come over to the feedback session and we will have some virtual drinks now.